Hi, so my name is Celeste, and I'm here with the project Ensepulchre. Now to get started, um, the EP for this band definitely introduced Ensepulchre to the underground. Now, what was the driving force behind that first EP?
The new EP or the first album?
The first one.
So the first one I started in 2017. It I had just come off of the band I was in for 10 years, and I was the drummer for it, but I wrote a lot of the guitars. So when that band dissolved, I was looking for an outlet for my guitar writing, and I decided, I could probably just learn how to record and do it all myself. So that's how that this Incephager came to be, and I learned pretty much learned everything I know about recording while doing this project. So it was kind of like a learning process and a creative outlet at the same time.
Awesome. I guess I'm curious. So how was there like a huge shift that you had from going from drums to guitar, especially with from the previous project to this one?
No, actually, I was a guitarist before I was a drummer, so I learned how
Oh,
to
okay.
play guitar in I would say probably junior high, and I picked up drumming around high school. But drummers are not as easy to find. So I've always been relegated to the drum set. But guitar is something that I'm also passionate about. So I just kept them both going.
Okay, awesome. Now you released both a demo and a full-length title as far as the newer one called Desolation. Now, how did the material evolve between the demo version and then the album from 2020?
So the demo version was when I had literally just started recording, and so I wrote those songs and put them out. And when I learned more about how to use a DAW and other recording software like guitar modelers and stuff, that's when I decided to do a full length and include those songs as well. Then I turned around and well, I got that album out and then turned around and did another one right after that because I was pretty pumped up and had a lot of material going. So you can see the evolution of my skills between those two albums. I think my drumming, editing, and my drumming mixing got better on the second album. But now that that was like 5 years ago, you can really see a massive leap in my ability to mix and master.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely nice to be able to kind of hear and see that revolution.
Yeah,
Also just nice to have like different niches of people liking different albums. Like I know for me, like for a lot of bands, like I'll like their older stuff because of the
yeah,
rawness, but then, people like the later stuff. So it has like that nice mix.
yeah.
Now your one album from 2021, um, I'm not sure how to pronounce the start of it, so I apologize.
I like to
Um,
find the hardest words possible.
I know I was looking at it, I was like, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but
Yeah.
for 2021, it's definitely a bit more darker and refined.
Mhm.
What changed in your songwriting approach at that stage?
Okay, that's actually an interesting story. So it's called Paroxysm of Woe, and I went more heavily into biblical inspired themes,
Hmm.
not taking one side or the other. Just the Old Testament saw a lot of brutality in it, and I thought that's good material for death metal songs. So the first album, I had reached out to Trevor Sternad of Black Dahlia Murder to check it out and to give me some pointers. And so the pointers he gave me is what influenced the second album. That's why it sounds so much different. And I was heavily into Dark Funeral at the same time. So I leaned a lot more into the black metal sound and the things that Trevor told me to steer away from and to lean into is what I did. So you hear a lot more trim picking, a lot more harmonizing, and less like death metal notey riffs, like the banana riffs, like, less of that
Yeah.
stuff. So I took a lot of what he said and applied it to that album.
Yeah, no, it's good. It definitely I feel like it depends on what I guess more of the crossover bands do because some of them they can lean more in from one side to another, but it really just depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Um, Now definitely with speaking of your project, with the sound, it blends definitely more of like you just mentioned that black metal atmosphere with that death metal brutality. Now, do you consciously balance those two styles, or do you feel like it comes more naturally?
A little bit of both. I usually start a song with a riff. If a riff comes, I write a riff that I'm like really pumped about. I write different variations of it.
Mhm.
So if it's just a chord, I'll find a trim picking pattern that is in that same chord, or take it into like a banana da 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 type riff, and basically write the whole song around that one riff. A lot of my writing is that way. So if I don't approach it that way, I think, well, I need an intense tremolo pick spot, a good like skank beat, notey part, and then a chorus that's kind of mellow, and that would be the hook that would grab the audience.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now, because of based on the scene that you're in, which I'm definitely, I guess, interested in, because lately I've been interviewing more American bands and projects. Now being based in Arkansas, does the local scene influence your music, or do you feel like you're more detached from it?
I wouldn't say that the local scene has much influence on how I write. This particular scene, it evolves as time goes on, and they'll get into different styles. Like, 15, 20 years ago, it was more like Attack Attack, the metalcore side of things. Nowadays, it's more of I wouldn't say like old school beatdown hardcore, but it's got more of a hardcore feel and um, sludge, doom, that slower, heavy, low tune stuff. That stuff is real popular in this area, really in the northwest Arkansas and the central Arkansas area. So you'll find a lot of bands like that. And I would say that there are much fewer death metal bands or hardly any black metal bands that I know of in the area. There's a couple that definitely gets notoriety, but not to not the same volume that you would find in like the doom genre or hardcore genre.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Now, being more unsigned and independent, aside from some of the more obvious freedoms like creativity and stuff like that, what are some challenges or those other freedoms that I guess define your path?
What are some challenges that define my path?
Mm,
That would be the biggest challenge is finding like-minded people in my area to collaborate with. So a lot of the collaboration that I do here and there is with people from different countries or different parts of the United States. This area is I like to think of it like, I've go to shows over the past 20 years in this area, and I start seeing the crowd getting older and older with us. So
mm,
kids aren't as motivated to get into the scene. So there's definitely much fewer people in this area that are musicians or even like-minded who like that death metal, black metal sound. So that's definitely a challenge, just finding people to collaborate with.
yeah, I mean that's a really interesting challenge too, because especially like if you ask, it's usually like, oh, getting known or something like that. But in your case, it's more of like just finding those people that you could do collaborations with. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Now lyrically, your themes remain somewhat, I guess, more undefined and challenging, like publicly. Now is there like an intentional mystery to part of the identity, or
I like to keep it kind of vague. I don't want to be like stuck in this like, oh, he's a Christian band, or he's a satanic band, or they're an alt right or an alt left or whatever. I like to keep it vague, so when somebody listens to it, they might draw different conclusions than I intended, which is perfectly fine with me. Everything that I've written is mostly vague. Like when I was using the Old Testament. as my source. I didn't use names or places very much to try to keep it as vague as possible. Now that I've moved on from that, and I'm and still like it started, the whole project started with conspiracy, and now I'm back into the conspiracy thing. But I still like to leave it as vague as possible. That way, basically, the audience can draw their own conclusions, and if they want to tie it to something else that's more personal to them, then they have the freedom to do so.
Yeah, that's great. Especially
Mm.
because a lot of bands like they'll even now like they'll go from like one thing to another. So I think just letting people draw their own conclusions is really nice and
Yeah.
refreshing. Um, Now how important is production quality in I guess more of like your project? Like do you feel like that you want more of that clarity or do you want more of that chaos in there?
The goal is always to be as clear as possible. I've learned some things in the past year to clean up the sound. It is re recording and mastering is very much a puzzle to get all the instruments to play nice in the sonic space, especially in the low range. So what I've learned recently is how to balance the low range with bass and kick drums and low tuned guitars. But when it comes to like performance, I used to be really um, insecure about my performance, so I would edit everything to be like picture perfect as much as possible when I learned how to do all that. But now, looking back, I decided that leaving the mistakes in there is part of its character. So I don't edit my drum takes or guitars as much as I used to, which honestly speeds up the process. So that's great for me, honestly.
Yeah.
But getting the sounds to balance so you can easily hear each instrument and all the articulations it is very important.
No, for sure. Now kind of as like a little wrap-up question here. Now since your last full length in 2021, what kind of direction is your project gonna be moving forward?
Was the new release with ephemerality, it's kind of a tricky word to say too, that just came out yesterday. That one took a conspiracy role, and it came about kind of jokingly. I had made a post to my friends. Uh, this was probably September when 9/11 was coming back around. Like, I should do a 9/11 conspiracy EP, and went to bed and woke up and thought, I am going to do that. And so that's how that came to be. I already had a couple of the songs written and some other riffs floating around, so I just put it all together and put it out as quickly as I could, but still keeping everything nice and polished. I still have so much material in that topic that I'm thinking of doing a part two to get everything out, and then I don't know what's gonna beyond that for this particular project. I kind of just pick it back up whenever something piques my interest. I have so many other things that are also going on at the same time that keep me busy. And whenever I do get interested in something, a topic wise, that doesn't fit one of those other projects, I think Ensepulchre is going to be the one to do it.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I like that a lot, especially as like more of a side thing, and then you do it out of like passion more
Mhm.
so. So yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the time we had, and it was nice talking to you. And I definitely wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, whether it's this project or anything else.
Thank you.